Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. For anyone that's new here, my name's OwenAlec, and on this channel I do everything drum related. That includes drum covers, tutorials, gear reviews, tips and advice, just like this video. So if that sounds like something that you're into, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell and the like button, all that good stuff, because it really helps the channel. Thank you very much. So today in this video, we're going to be going over 5 bad habits that you need to correct right now. And be sure to watch this video to the end because I'm going to give you a bonus bad habit tip. These are the kind of things that you just fall into naturally, and it's very, very difficult to get yourself out of unless you start training yourself to get out of those bad habits. These are all things that I'm guilty of myself, and it's taken me a long time and quite a few years really of discipline and really pushing myself forward to get these bad habits out. I'm still working on them to this day, but they're a lot better than they used to be. So the first bad habit that we have is posture. This is arguably one of the biggest ones because if you've got bad posture while you're playing, this can cause you so many different health issues down the road, and it's something that you really need to think about early on so that you can save yourself a load of grief down the line. So for most people when they're playing, they kind of lean in forward towards the kit, they close themselves off. If they've got the hands forward like that, they tend to just be a little bit close on themselves. What you need to start doing is bringing your shoulders back and chest forward, and get your spine nice and straight and sit yourself up while you're playing. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but I promise you this is going to help with various different things. Not least of which is as you're more upright on the kit, everything's more available to you. You can access things a little bit easier. You're not having to go from a hunch position to try and get over there. You're already in this open position. Second of all, it's going to help with your breathing. Typically when you're doing a fill or something like that, you'll hold your breath because you want to get it over and done with. And I've seen this time and time again. Again, I am guilty of this myself. But if you're a bit more open, you can then breathe more openly as you're going around the kit. You'll be able to keep your time better, and the whole feel is just going to be so much better for yourself. Additionally, something else that I found with being a bit more open with my posture was I had more control over the kit. I was able to see things better, and when I was playing, I had this more of a command over the stick. Instead of being like this, and it was just kind of very short movements, with this I was able to really lay into the kit and have a lot more control, have a lot more power, and make the kit sound more like I wanted it to. So something else that kind of ties in with this is your stick position or your stick posture. This is going to help with things like tendonitis and stuff, or repetitive strain injury. It's going to help prevent that. Now typically I go for the German grip because I feel like that's the best one for me, and that essentially is where your palm is facing downwards and you put the stick up like that and you hold it so that your palm is facing down. The American grip is where it's kind of coming off a diagonal, and then French grip is where it's coming off right to the side. This is for a lot more finger work, that kind of thing, but again, look into that kind of stuff yourself and see what works best for you. But the reason why I like the German grip is because something that Thomas Lang said is that when you're looking at the kit, if you were to take the sticks away, you're not having your palms facing each other like this, so you're karate chopping the drums. You would play them palms down, wouldn't you? Which kind of makes sense. So it only makes sense then that you do that with your sticks. So you've got your sticks in the hand with the palm facing down, going around like that. It makes more sense. You get a lot more power and more control, I found anyway. Bad habit number 2 is warming up. Again, this is something I'm guilty of so many times. I'm struggling with it to this day, but I started warming up a lot more when I was doing shows. And just before 10 minutes before the show, I do some stretches. I've got a video that I did about that actually quite a while ago now, so I'll link it up on the YouTube card, but I'm gonna try and do an up-to-date version fairly soon. So yeah, you just get a few stretches done and you stretch out your legs and play a little bit, try and sort of get everything nice and warmed up and ready to go, so that when you get on stage, you're not completely cold and everything starts getting fatigued really, really quickly. This is a good habit that you really need to get yourself into early on because it's going to stop you from getting a lot of health issues down the road. Again, repetitive strain injury is one of the biggest ones, tendonitis, that kind of stuff. But then also any strain that you could do with your legs, because drumming is a very physical activity, and if you don't stretch and warm up beforehand, it's like any other sport. You can pull something, you can really damage yourself, and then you're going to be out of drumming for a long time. And no one wants that. There was actually a great warm-up video that I saw Tony Royster Jr doing on Drumeo, so I'll try and link that and the timestamp in the description below. Bad habit number 3 is something that I've only really started taking into account in the past couple of years, and this is the way you hit your cymbals. Because at one time I was just chopping right through them. I had no real clue as to how to hit a cymbal properly, and I was just chopping right through them. I was going through sticks, I was going through cymbals, and it was just really, really bad. And also when I was listening to them back on recordings, they didn't sound right. They didn't sound like these, as Todd Zuckerman kind of put it, was these drinks of water, these massive waves of sound that you really wanted them to come across. They were kind of getting choked off and it wasn't sounding right. So after getting my Amedias and realizing that it wasn't the cymbals that was the issue, it was me, I then started to apply that same technique that I've seen Jared Falk, Todd Zuckerman, and a few other drummers talk about, is where you hit them with a glancing blow. Brian Van Poederoyen is another one that kind of talks about this, is where you hit them with a slight glancing blow. Not so that you're just kind of daintily hitting it or going through it. You got to try and find a nice balance in between. So you're getting the power and the sound of the cymbal that you want, but you're not kind of overhitting it or underhitting it. Having the power control over your sticks with your cymbals is a really good habit to get into, and you'll be surprised just how much better it makes your kit sound. Habit number 4 is gear maintenance. This was something I never did. I never considered. I didn't really think that it was an issue because I just thought, oh right, well, it's as it is. It's a professional kit. It's gonna last me. Why wouldn't it? But over the years, as I noticed that things started to either break or they were just feeling rough and things weren't holding in place with the stands and stuff like that, I noticed that these are the kind of things that needed maintenance, and just a little bit of grease on your tension rods or certain ratchet mechanisms on your stands, anything like that that can have grease on it, put grease on it. And then after a year or something, take it all apart, wipe it clean, put new grease on, and then put it back again. This little bit of gear maintenance will make your kit and your hardware and whatever else that you're using last so much longer. I try to have a full gear maintenance day once every year, but in between that, I will make sure that things are still lubricated. I'll still, go over things with WD-40 every now and again, or just clean things up where I can, especially if I notice that there's already an issue. And I'll try and make note of that so that when I come to do my gear maintenance day, I tend to try and do it around my birthday. That's like my day when I do it. I'll remember that then, and I'll pay extra attention to it. So it's really good to get into a habit of picking a day in the year when you know that you're going to be free, or you can, because a lot of people work, so if you can do it on a particular, like around your birthday, but on the weekend after or something like that, you can find a space to just lay everything out, get everything dismantled down to its bare bones, clean everything up, get it greased, whatever you need to do, cleaned up, and then put it all back together again. It's also going to get you to know your kit a lot better, so that is just invaluable knowledge. Habit number 5 is hearing protection. Now, if I could go back and find my 13-year-old self, I would slap him up and down the street, because I had the stupid idea that wearing anything in my ears was going to impair my playing because I couldn't hear the kit properly. It sounds ridiculous, but that's the way it was at that age, a young kid. But in later years, as I've started to develop the very beginning of tinnitus, I get it every now and again, it comes and it goes. I've really started to take care of my hearing, and I used to implore all of my students that I had and any customers that come in that talk to me about drums, I'll say the biggest thing that you need to do right now, whether or not you're 13 years old or whether you're 80 years old, your hearing is one of the best assets you'll ever have as a musician. So you really need to protect it. Hearing protection is so valuable, and it's not that expensive now. Even if you just use regular earplugs, you can put in there like next to nothing cheap. You can buy massive bulk of stuff on Amazon or something for next to nothing. But if you want to go down the route of in-ear monitors, it's really not that expensive anymore. Stag have just released a new version of their in-ear monitors, and I did a review of that, so I'll link it up on the YouTube card, and they were really good. There was a few little drawbacks here and there, but that's to be expected for something that costs like 30 quid. But honestly, I cannot overstate this. You really need to look after your hearing. I have genuinely heard horror stories of musicians who have had to basically end their career because the tinnitus was getting that bad. Because back in the day, when they were kids or growing up through the teens into the 20s and that kind of stuff, they were on stage and they were giving it everything that they got. Everything was turned up to 11, and they never protected their hearing because they didn't think about the future. Now, for a bonus tip, I just want to quickly talk about practicing. Practicing is a really good habit to get into because obviously when you're not being able to play it on a full kit, you can use a practice pad or something like that. But when you are in front of a kit, the temptation sometimes is to practice a little bit and then you just kind of go off on one. You just go and do whatever you want to do, and you might play to a song or something like that. Technically that is practice, but if you're doing something that's regimented and something you've got a particular part that you need to get down, really knuckling down and getting on it is so vital. Because if you do something for a short time and then go off and do something else, you can forget what it is that you've done, and the muscle memory hasn't had chance quite to set in. That being said, you can overwork yourself. If you do a part for too long, then your muscles just aren't getting it and you get frustrated and then you get demotivated. So finding that nice balance there is really, really crucial. Another thing that I've seen a lot of people doing either on the forums or on YouTube videos and things like that when they're practicing is trying to develop their weak hand. For me, that's my left hand. But what they end up doing is playing something or practicing a particular rudiment or whatever it is that they're doing to practice. They'll do the same with the right hand as they do with the left hand. And that's wrong. You need to do whatever it is that you do with your dominant hand twice as much with your weak hand, because you need to develop it. If you're doing the same thing, then it's going to constantly go up like this. Whereas you need it to actually come up to the same level so that you can then use your weak hand as a dominant hand, if you like. If you want to do open-handed playing, for instance, and I started doing a lot of that. So I'm trying to develop my weak hand as much as I can. So I'm doing more practice with this than I am with my right. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys got something out of it. Let me know in the comment sections below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.